a slight delay whilst we wait for the television to come back from their advertising break, but we carry on with the pictures. There is Kim, the world number 3, and we're just moments away from another, well, what promises to be thrilling Grand Prix quarter-final.
Hartung first on the scoreboard. This time Kim draws the tempo, gives him a little invitation. He opens up the wrist target, draws Hartung's lunge into the wrist target, and then blocks it out. Very clever little hit from the Korean.
Big appeal there from Kim, but the referee is in total disagreement.
I think Kim knew that Hartung was going to look for the parry, and he tried to collect Hartung's blade on the way in. Referee saw that as a parry. Kim possibly a little unlucky with that one, but it's a bit of a messy hit. It's not too clear. But in that situation, the referee gave the benefit of the doubt to the parry.
And hit to the back of the head there from Hartung on Kim. Accidental does happen. See a nice, beautiful end of the attack there, and then there's the flick over the top, and you can see that the tip of the sword just flicks over the top of the mask, and that'll leave a little dent in the back of his head.
Absolutely, bit of a stinger, as we say. 2-2. Oh, a lovely parry pass from Kim. Hartung going for that same timing hit in the middle, the same line that he went for earlier, and Kim once again taking parry, this time the second parry, the low line. Parry 2, as they say in the US. Hartung's trying to have a look at the big screen replay before he asks for video. It's a bit cheeky, but
yeah,
it hasn't happened soon enough. So. He didn't want to waste the video before he checked the video.
Yeah, that's sometimes we see that with all the screens around fencing competitions now, certainly the big ones. They do often get a chance to see a review before asking for one. Nature of the beast, I'm afraid.
Referee's not 100% sure. Kim thinks he's got timing. I think the referee's first instinct was together, but Kim put in such a celebration that he felt maybe he should give something. And actually, in the end, on slow-mo, Hartung actually got there first with the hand, but very marginal and not enough. Not enough to count as a hit. Kim on that bouncing attack. Very nice step lunge. It's very typical of the Korean style, that attack. Kind of bouncing down the piece. Not trying to close distance, but just progressing slowly forward and then very quickly accelerating to the step lunge. Very long, low step lunge.
I was going to ask you, John, is there a Korean style? Do they tend to fence in a different way to perhaps the more traditional European style?
Absolutely, and the Koreans really burst onto the scene in the last few years, and have had some fantastic results, including winning the team gold at the London Olympic Games, so they're reigning Olympic team champions.
And they were top of the medal table.
They were indeed.
Across the board.
They were indeed. And their style is characterised by being very springy, very fast acceleration, huge lunges in their attack. And when they're going down the piste on the attack, that sort of holding, bouncing and waiting, and then massive fast step lunge. And that is not to say that they don't use technical actions as well, because the coaches since, well, really 2000, sort of 9-10, that period, they've really also trained in a lot of hand technique. So they do parries and they do beats on the blade. They use all the fencing actions. Now the referee said that on the way in, Kim searched for the blade, so it's attack no. I tend to agree with him. Kim went up for the cant position, parry 5 position on the win, looked as though he was trying to hit the blade, and Hartung riposted.
So, I mean, the Korean setup, I mean, I think really the instigation of the rise of the strength of Korean fencing came from the announcement of the Beijing Olympics. So sort of 7 years ahead they get announced, so 2001. So we're kind of 15 years down the line from there. And I think it's fair to say that they have a fairly brutal training regime.
They do, and actually they've been in foil, certainly, Korean fencers that were successful from, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, but they were few and far between. But now there's a whole cadre across all weapons of incredibly successful professional athletes, and their training regime is very tough. They train 3 hours twice a day, 6 days a week. I mean, that's, for physical sport like this, that is tough.
Yeah.
And if you can weather that storm as an athlete and come through the other end of it, then you're probably going to be pretty solid.
But they've got like a production line as well, so you get so many of them fencing, together, that they have a big pool to build from, and also, I guess, a big pool that will clearly probably injure themselves beyond competitive standard because of the training regime.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It is literally sink or swim. But the outcome of that is that the athletes that come onto the World Cup scene, they come onto the scene ready, prepared to get results immediately. And we've seen that in the last couple of years. We saw Kim last year coming onto the scene, and in his first Senior World Cup getting into the top 8, which is almost unheard of. Normally it takes a couple of seasons of experience before people can get that kind of level of performance. But these guys are coming onto the scene hardened, because it's so tough just to get in their squad, that by the time they've made their squad, they're already hardened athletes and experienced, and they know exactly what to do to be successful. And they're very disciplined in their style. They stick to their game plan. They don't lose their cool. They control the piste well. Fitness is never an issue. They can run up and down.
Yeah,
the best
this
of
is
them.
the thing. They can outrun people,
Absolutely.
out-fitness someone. They just make them run up and down the piste. And Kim here at 8-6 up he hasn't got complete control of the match, but he's certainly going to be the happier of the two fencers going into the break.
He will be. I would say that Hartung is possibly, of the two fencers, more capable of adapting his tactics now. I would say Kim, possibly he has his way of fencing, and he would find it more difficult to have a drastic change in tactics. Whereas Hartung, I think, is a bit more flexible in his fencing. He can find different rhythm and preparation in the middle of the piste, and he can maybe adjust a little bit better. But at the moment, Kim has no need to adjust, because he's obviously ahead. He's got that 2-hit cushion. Hartung is, I wouldn't say he's struggling, but it looks like he's finding it very challenging to get his hits on the board, whereas Kim looks a little bit more composed.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have the sort of guess up and go, possibly a bit harsh, but he doesn't seem to have the same sort of passion that his teammate in the previous fight had. Sabo was fist pumping and shouting and screaming, whereas Hartung's a little bit more.
Yeah, he's a very different character to Sabo. A little bit more placid externally, but I can tell you he's a very driven and very professional, committed athlete.
I'll bet.
A lovely guy as well, really nice guy, and well liked by everyone on the circuit. And I can see here his mask is coming off between hits, and he's kind of shaking his head. He's trying to find the answer, but he doesn't really know what the answer is at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's got a sort of.
Kim's change of direction, change of speed there was just incredible. They both went in and out, but Kim just saw the moment to take over the attack and could immediately react.
It's like he has a sort of turbocharger behind him, isn't he? I mean, he changes the change of direction is obviously very key in fencing, but it's the speed at which not only does he change direction, but he then accelerates into the attack.
Yeah, he's very springy, very athletic, but he's not a big, huge guy. You see his legs aren't enormous, but he's very lithe and very springy athlete.
Do you think they do sort of, I don't know, sprint training or that type of stuff to get that fast twitch?
A lot of plyometric training, so kind of jumps and bounds and springy stuff, and things that take you to the lactic threshold and beyond. And yeah, absolutely. And it's it's quite at the early stages. It's quite brutal and tough physical training, because they develop super strong athletes in the initial stages, and then develop the fencing a little bit afterwards.
Interesting setup for the Koreans. It's working here for Kim Jung-won. He looks for a para riposte there, fails to. I think he did actually pick up the blade, but he failed to land on the valid target area in Hartung.
That's right. He actually didn't hear the referee say fence and just kind of ran away as soon as Hartung attacked. Tried to take a parry to make up for it, but didn't quite get the riposte on. Has a commanding lead though, and those few hits after the break, he just completely took control of the middle of the piste.
Both lobbying, both appealing. Referee has a quick look down at the floor monitor and decides not to give the hit to anyone. It's the German who's asked for a video replay here.
My view is that's a little bit more in hope than expectation. I think there's nothing really there.
Well, Hartung's certainly faster, but it's not about that, is it?
Well, his feet are faster, but Kim's hand is a little bit faster, so I would say it's a bit of a risk going to video. But I guess at this stage he's grasping at straws a little bit.
Nothing to lose.
Get it together. Kim's to get, Hartung's to get back in this match, which looks pretty doubtful now. Another good power press from Kim. He really needs to change and do something different and move Kim up and down maybe.
Just not picked his moment to land the attack, and just as soon as I say that, he picks the perfect moment to land an attack.
Well, actually, I think he missed the first one and did a cheeky little remise to the wrist.
Back, yeah.
This second half performance from Kim, from 8-6, he just put together 4 or 5, I think 4 in a row, really solid hits. Very impressive. Oh, a lovely hit. Great display of skill from both fencers.
We'll get a replay of this one.
They both enjoyed it.
Need to straighten his weapon, Mr. Kim.
Kim's just having a little test just to make sure his sabre was working. That was a lovely counter parry post.
Yeah.
Hartung took the blade with a beat, took over priority and went forward. Kim did a parry to stop the attack. And then as he tried to hit Hartung, Hartung did a counter parry and riposted successfully. Very technically difficult action.
He's well trained, I guess. I mean, it's an instinct hit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a reflex in that situation to go for that action. Kim finished it off with a big step lunge attack under the arm. 15-9. Second half from Kim was exceptional there.
Well, that's what did it. The world number 3 is through.